session. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he gives you tips, techniques, and strategies to grow and monetize your podcast. Live in his Facebook group, The Better Method of Daily Audience Growth for Independent Podcasters. Learn from him and his special guests as they help you become the next podcast superstar. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcasters of all ages, put your hands together for your host, Phil Better!
Yes, hands. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the podcast series, or soon to be renamed as the $100 million podcast. I don't know yet. We're working on the names here. Hold on. My camera's a little high. Hold on. There we go. I don't feel so tall now. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to help you figure out the proper pitching to land popular podcast guests. Now, that sounds very complicated and weird, but I promise you it is very, very easy to do and not complicated. As if you are following me on Facebook, if you're following me anywhere, you will know that a lot of my friends and fellow podcasters have written and told us how they figure out how to land those popular guests. But I'm going to show you a very simple method. And if you listen to the end of this episode, you will hear about a very special surprise that I have for you guys that's coming next week. But here's the thing. Depending on where you are in your podcasting journey, you may be a new show or a new podcast or a longtime veteran like myself of podcasting. Landing certain guests or getting those really high demand guests will be very, very difficult for you because they may not think you have an authority or they may not feel that the podcast is the right fit for them. And it's very easy to get over that and get past those barriers multiple different ways. First of all, you should be following the people that you want on your podcast on their social media. That's number one. Once you follow them on their social media, they are aware of you. Make sure you're commenting on their posts when they pop up, making sure that your name pops up in their engagement so that when you do reach out, they already are aware of who you are or who your podcast is or what your podcast is. So that's the number one first rule of any game. If you're looking to get popular people on your podcast, popular guests on your podcast, popular individual celebrities or well-known individuals in your niche or of podcasting, you need to be following them on podcasts. Following them on social media. If they are on other podcasts, comment on it. When they share about a post, comment on that post, but don't just go fire emoji or laughing emoji. No, add something of value so that their commenters or their followers gain from your insight, gain from your post, and it's not just an empty engagement. If it is something of value, make sure you repost it, tagging them, because again, you're creating this relationship saying, hey, I want to give you value before I take value. Okay, or I ask for something in exchange. Give them the value first. All right. Next is when you send your DM. This is the crucial point. Don't just send this long-winded DM because that's not going to work. Okay, they're not going to read it. You're not going to get past the gatekeepers or anything like that. On their most recent post, just before you send the DM, you comment, hey, check your DMs. Okay, in the DM, you're going to take your handy phone and you're going to pitch them a story about your podcast. If they were recently on another podcast and you're like, oh, I listened to this episode and what they said about Dungeons and Dragons, the latest movie, if you're a movie podcaster, or what they said about marketing, if you're a marketing based or business podcaster, they're like, oh, that's relevant because they mentioned this in your video, because you're going to send them a video. You're going to first send a message, hey, person's name. That's it. And then you send them a video, go, hey, Doug or John or Aaron, I know you're super busy, so I'll get right to the point. I was listening to the XYZ podcast and you mentioned this, and I think that would be great for my audience to hear more of it from your mouth because you're such an expert. You're knowledgeable in the field. So if you're interested, I will also just reply that you would love the link, and I'll send the link for you to book a time on the show. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Boom. Just like that. That will get you a return. Simply doing that one thing, that extra step. One, as a podcast host and a podcaster that goes out to get booked on podcast or be pitched, I have yet to receive anything like that as a host or as a guest to be on someone's show. They've never asked me to be on their show with that. But 100% I would open a video and watch it and see what it is. You'll at least get the open, and then they're like, wait, this guy took the time, this individual took the time to send me a video, personalized video about what they want to talk about. So they already know what they're going to talk about on the show. So it's not a question of figuring out, oh, what am I going to talk about on the show? What's the show about? This person's already prepared. You're going to look better than 99% of the podcasters out there when you throw this out to them. I shared this method with some of my mentorees, and people pay me for this method on how to get the proper guests on their podcast. They tried it. I showed them live. I did this live, and within seconds, I got lined up guests. Now, the second way is add them on Facebook. Add these people on Facebook if you can find them, and then send them a message. Go, hey, just want to invite you to my podcast. 100%. Sometimes they'll message and go, hey, why did you send the request? Because they may not know you. Business. This is more for the business side. You go, 100% honesty. I want you as a guest on my podcast. I talk about entrepreneurs, or I talk about this and that, and I think you would make an amazing guest. Most of the time, they'll either say, hey, send me a link to the podcast, or yeah, let's get on a call. Let's jump on a podcast. Because you're already coming to them with a different thing. You're being honest with them. You're not trying to manipulate them. That will help you 100-fold. Okay? That will help you 100-fold. Now, this is my really sneaky way of pitching people as well. If you have a guest that's been on a podcast, get on that same podcast. Get on that same podcast. Pitch yourself to that podcast. Say, and do the same thing. Do it with a video. Say, hey, I would like to be a guest on your show. This is what we can talk about. And send a video saying, hey, so tell them your story. Like, hook them in with the story. You'll get on the podcast. Once you're on that podcast, you can ask the guest, the host at the end of the episode, hey, I saw that you had XYZ on. Is there a way you can put me in touch? I have a podcast. Like, have them come on your show. Obviously, hey, I would love for you to come on my show. I want to continue this conversation with you. Then they'll be like, yeah. Then they'll say, is there anything else they can do for you? And you say, yeah. You have a few guests, 1, 2, 3. Any guests that they have, ask. Because as a podcast host, I know my guest wants to get on more podcasts. And if I have a connection to get them on more podcasts, I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll put you in touch with their email. I'll do this or that. The number of times that I've gone on other people's podcasts and I've asked, hey, can you put me in touch with XYZ? I would love to have them on their podcast. They have sent emails live going, yeah, sure, here, hold on, sent the email. Sometimes things come of it, sometimes they don't. But that's how you pitch. You need to put in the reason why you want them on the podcast. Don't say it's going to give value to you. What value can your podcast and audience give to them? Now, if they're pitching you to get on your podcast, you're in luck. You got PR groups coming after you to have their guests, their clients on your podcast. It's great. And eventually you're going to hit on a couple of guests that are going to take your podcast to the next level. It's going to go viral because they have 100 million people following them, and they tweet a picture or they post a picture. God, I'm showing my age with tweeting a picture. But they'll show you some love. That's all you ask. You go, hey, can you just share it when it goes live? Yeah, sure, no problem. Boom. And more people will see your podcast, and more people will be engaging with the content that you produce. So what I want you to do right now, in the comments, if you are watching live, make sure you hit #live. If you're watching the replay, #replay gang. I love you, replay gang. Leave your questions in the comments below. Pardon me. I'll answer them the best I can, and we'll do a follow-up episode. If you're listening to the audio, Make sure you check the show notes down below to join this Facebook group so that you can be here live, learning this live so that you know exactly and implement the method live. Okay. All the lessons I do live in my Facebook group. You can find the link in the show notes down below. But please come join us so that I can help you get your daily audience, find you the money in your podcast, and grow your podcast to the next level. Now that that's done, I'm going to pitch you guys. So I know I've been saying that I'll have a course, this and that, for a long time. Since I started podcasting, I've been trying to create a course. I recently finished my course. It's a kind of a course and it's not. I did a 5-day challenge to help, or 5-day lessons, and I helped out a couple podcasters in this group and outside. Mark, thank you so much for being here, man. I'm glad you're finding this information great and that. Love it. Thank you so much. So with that said, Mark, you're awesome. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. You're one of the OGs, and I love you that you're here, and I appreciate that you're here. But as I was saying, I created a course, had a couple podcasters, 5 of them, joined the group, watched it, and they were blown away with the knowledge that I was providing. So I asked them, and their words, it was from $100 to $150, and one even said $500 because it was 5 days. He said $100 a day. Now, I don't want to charge you $100 or $500 because I don't think that's fair, because my knowledge is your knowledge. I just took the time to learn it by using YouTube University. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be releasing this on AppSumo. There's going to be 2 courses I'm going to be releasing on AppSumo. Together, they will be worth $300. Okay, these 2 courses are worth $300, but you'll be able to buy both courses for $30 each. Okay, on AppSumo. So $150. These courses are separately, $300 together, but you're going to be able to get it at a 1/10 of the price each one. Okay, that's $30 for each course. They're going to be on AppSumo. I will be putting the links in the show notes, in the Facebook group, and I can promise you this will save you time. And one of them is automation. So that's the automation is going to save you time. It's going to help you learn how to create your show notes. It's going to create the social media posts for you. So whenever a guest or you fill out a form, pretty much it's filling out a form, it will create the documents that you need to take your podcast to the next level. It's going to save you time. This is how I run 4 podcasts. And 2 of them are interview-based podcasts. Okay, this collects all the information, creates the questions for me, creates my show notes, creates my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, multiple posts. Most of the posts in this Facebook group that you see guests coming on, that's through my automation. It's through the automation. I don't post it. I don't even schedule it. Okay, that is going to be coming out, as well as how I do promotion after the episode goes live with images. Okay, that is in the automation. The other course is how to turn your guests into fans, and automating that process for you. Both those courses are going to be $30 each. They're going to be on AppSumo. I'm super excited to be sharing these courses with you so that you guys can save more time and take that time and put it towards your podcast, growing your podcast, monetizing your podcast, and all that. So please look forward to finding that in the Facebook group and in the show notes of future podcasts. I thank you so much for tuning in, watching. Again, if you're watching live, #live. If you're watching on the replay, you know I want to see you sing replay gang. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, always remember to invest in yourself.